Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, your channel name, coming at you with one of the wildest breaking stories we've had in a while. And trust me, Cowboys Nation, this one is going to stir up every possible emotion: excitement, anger, confusion, maybe even hope. Because today, word around the league is that the Dallas Cowboys are seriously targeting Jets edge rusher Jermaine Johnson as the replacement for Micah Parsons and as the cornerstone of what they're calling the next phase of their defensive rebuild. Yes, you heard that right. Jermaine Johnson, the former first-round pick out of Florida State, could be packing his bags for Dallas if this thing actually goes down. And honestly, the implications of this move stretch way beyond one trade. This could redefine the identity of the Cowboys' defense for years to come. So before we get deep into it, smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed with the bell on, and let's dive straight into the madness because this one is wild. Now let's rewind the tape for a second, because none of this would even be happening if the Cowboys weren't in the middle of the biggest defensive shakeup they've had in years. We all know Micah Parsons wasn't just another player. He was the player. The heartbeat of that defense. The one-man wrecking crew that made every offensive coordinator lose sleep the night before facing Dallas. But after the contract drama, the tension with the front office, the social media unfollows, and then the ultimate bombshell, Micah Parsons getting traded out of Dallas, the Cowboys suddenly found themselves staring into the void. The entire defense that used to revolve around Parsons' insane athleticism was suddenly missing its anchor. It wasn't just losing a star, it was losing an identity. And Jerry Jones, for all his love of showmanship and controversy, knows one thing: you can't sell Cowboys football to America if the team doesn't have a superstar on defense. That's where the name Jermaine Johnson started echoing inside the Cowboys' war room. So let's talk about Jermaine Johnson for a second. Because for casual fans, this might feel like a random name being thrown out there. But for anyone who's been watching the Jets the past couple of seasons, you know this dude can play. Johnson came into the league as part of that loaded 2022 draft class, the one where the Jets snagged Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. Johnson was a bit overshadowed early on, but over time he proved he's a legitimate force. Long arms, explosive first step, plays with a chip on his shoulder, and has that dog mentality that Dallas fans love. Before his Achilles injury, he was putting together some really strong tape: smart against the run, powerful off the edge, and relentless in pursuit. And at just 25 years old, he's entering that sweet spot where athletic ability meets professional maturity. That's exactly the kind of player the Cowboys would love to build around as they transition into this new defensive era. Now, of course, the obvious question is, why would the Jets even consider trading him? Well, the Jets are in a weird spot. They built their defense around a front four that includes Quinn Williams, Jermaine Johnson, and Will McDonald. But their offense has been an absolute mess, and that puts pressure on the front office to reallocate assets, possibly moving a defensive piece to gain picks or offensive help. And for Dallas, with the extra draft capital they got from the Micah Parsons trade, this is the perfect storm. They've got the ammunition. They've got the need. And they've got the motivation to make something splashy before the trade deadline hits. But let's be real, Cowboys fans, replacing Micah Parsons isn't something you just do overnight. You don't wake up and say, let's find another guy who can play linebacker, edge, coverage, and disrupt every play in the backfield. Parsons is a generational freak. But what Dallas can do, and what they're clearly trying to do, is rebuild their defense in a more balanced way. Instead of one superstar doing everything, they can spread that money and draft value across multiple young pieces who fit a more traditional scheme. Jermaine Johnson isn't Parsons, but he's a pure edge rusher who can set the edge, pressure the quarterback, and anchor a front seven that has lacked consistency since DeMarcus Lawrence started aging out of his prime. Think about it: if Johnson lines up opposite someone like Sam Williams, with Osa Odigizua inside and a healthy rotation of linebackers behind them, you're looking at a defense that can still get after the quarterback without relying on one player to save the day. What's really fascinating here is the philosophical shift this move represents. The Cowboys for years have been top-heavy paying stars, relying on athletic freaks, and hoping for highlight reel moments. But the NFL is a league that punishes imbalance. You can't have one guy carrying the whole defense. That's what doomed them in the postseason every single year. Micah Parsons would show up with 2 sacks and 10 pressures, but the secondary would get torched, the run defense would collapse, and by the fourth quarter, he'd be gassed. With Jermaine Johnson, Dallas is aiming to build a more sustainable foundation, a defense that wins through system, not just superstars. Financially, this makes sense too. Johnson's still on his rookie deal with a 5th-year option, meaning Dallas could get him under control for at least 2 more years at a fraction of what Parsons was demanding. That flexibility matters because the Cowboys still need to pay CeeDee Lamb, they've got Dak Prescott's contract looming, and they've got younger guys hitting free agency soon. Bringing in Johnson gives them breathing room while also re-establishing their defensive credibility. And Jerry Jones knows optics matter. If he lets Parsons walk and replaces him with some no-name rotational guy, fans riot. But if he pulls off a trade for a former first-rounder with star potential, the narrative shifts from Dallas lost Micah Parsons to Dallas made a bold move to rebuild smarter. That's the type of headline Jerry lives for. And honestly, that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just about the trade. It's about identity. The Cowboys have always been defined by their stars: Aikman, Emmett, Irvin, DeMarcus Ware, Parsons. But maybe, just maybe, this is the moment where they start building something deeper, a defense that's not built on one superstar but on culture and structure. Jermaine Johnson could be the face of that transformation, the player who doesn't have to be the next Parsons but can instead be the first version of himself in Dallas. Still, the stakes couldn't be higher. If this move happens and Johnson thrives, the Cowboys will look like geniuses. They'll have turned a messy breakup into a rebirth. But if it flops? If Johnson struggles or gets hurt or the defense collapses again, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy will be roasted in the media. Fans will scream that trading Parsons was the worst mistake in franchise history. Every sack Parsons gets in Green Bay will sting that much more. So yeah, this move isn't just about football. It's about pride, image, and legacy. So that's the story, folks. The Cowboys are targeting Jermaine Johnson not just as a player, but as a symbol. A symbol of change, resilience, and rebirth. The end of one chapter and the beginning of another. And whether you love it or hate it, one thing's for sure, this move will keep everyone talking. Because when the Cowboys make a move, the whole league listens. And if this trade actually happens, it might just shake the entire NFL landscape heading into the next season. So tell me what you think. Should the Cowboys pull the trigger on Jermaine Johnson? Do you think he's the right fit, or are they setting themselves up for disappointment? Drop your takes in the comments, because this one's going to divide opinions for a long time. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown, subscribe for more breaking NFL updates, and stay tuned because if this deal goes down, we'll be here breaking it all down, play by play. Until next time, signing off. Cowboys Nation, buckle up. The next era of Dallas defense might just be beginning right now.